Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Mike Armstrong podcast show. And this afternoon, I'm joined by Tony Thomas, who's from TT Wealth. And we're going to have a little chat about business and networking and lockdown and all those sort of things and get to know each other. So, how are you doing today, Tony? You okay?
Yeah, I'm great, thank you. It's Friday, so it's even better.
Yes, I always wake up on a Friday with that Friday feeling, the same one I used to have when I'm employed. But pretty much every day's the same for me right now. So I don't know why I have the Friday feeling. I enjoy every day.
I think life can be very good even in lockdown. And if you've got a purpose in life, then life can be very good. So,
Yeah, definitely. I think it's all about, to me, it's about being on the right path and
yeah,
then just enjoying the journey, and if
yeah.
you enjoy the journey, if you enjoy what you do every day, then every day is a great day.
Strange you should say that, Mike. I'm actually doing preparation for my video for tomorrow on YouTube, which is your financial roadmap and how to create that. So it's actually a perfect sort of tee up for that.
Well, it's like as if I knew something about that then, but sometimes the universe just makes those things happen, bang,
They certainly do.
I'll tee it up, you knock them off. So anyway, the place I usually like to start with people, because obviously it's the topical bit of the moment really with entrepreneurs, is how's the lockdown been for you? And have you done any pivoting during that time?
Lockdown has been a very interesting period. I think, like most people, the first month was a little bit of a sort of panic stations, panic set in. Having said that, I've turned that around where originally I think it was a sort of the fear that what's going to happen to business, is everything going to go down the tubes, everything you've worked for, and I think most for me was about a mindset change where let's use this time, and it was likely even in the early stages to be at least 3 or 4 months. Use that time effectively and get all the projects that you've always wanted to do, get those done. Um, and that has helped me, one, uh, get through this period in a very positive frame of mind. And I know now, having done that, I'm on a different direction to where I would have been if this pandemic hadn't happened.
Yeah.
For example, I think you mentioned earlier, but for example, I've written my first book. Really excited about that. That'll probably
Okay.
come out later this year, probably October.
Great.
That's more about my story, if you like, in terms of my life, but related to obviously my industry and the challenges I've had, and obviously people I've helped their challenges too.
Yeah,
Um,
sounds similar to mine. Mine's a life story as well, but
yeah,
taking
well,
him online and
it's
learning
a
along
good
the way.
place to start. Only we know our life stories. Nobody else can tell us. So you can't be wrong. Can't be wrong, Mike. It's
Exactly,
got to be right.
exactly. Yeah, that's right.
I think what it's this period has let me do though, but I've always done in terms of my business, it's been 99% face to face, in person. I think this, like many others, has allowed us to use obviously should we say the digital age to be able to communicate to people as we are now online. And although it can be tiring, it saves so much time and you can be so much more productive. Then I think there's no going back. And I'm just thinking of different ways all the time how I can help people uh, with their sort of financial situation, with their life planning needs, to help them get these things in order, better lives, but to many more people than I would have done on a normal basis.
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant. And it was my job for the last sort of 8 years since I've been self-employed. I used to be at a tech startup, running sales management, sales directorship, all that sort of thing before. The last 8 years, I've been helping entrepreneurs, usually older than me, embrace the technology and the internet and whatever to do their business instead of the old school methods. And if you like,
Yeah.
the lockdown come along and just forced them all to do it anyway. So I am going to get them online now, and then they just need help. Now they're all online. They need help with the various different things that I can help them with: SEO, social media marketing, all that sort of stuff, really. So Yeah, so that's why it's been great for me because you know the coronavirus did a much better job than me. I was pulling them, kicking and screaming one at a time, and coronavirus just went bang. You're all on now, sorted out.
Yeah, it's strange how these events. I mean, I've seen many events over the years. I mean, I've been in this business of financial planning for over 30 years, so I've seen lots of different events where there's a financial crisis, dot-com bubble. All of them I've seen, but this one is definitely different. One is lasting longer. Obviously, the focus is more on health, but we need to get obviously the economy up and running at the same time. So there's always that fine balance. But I think if you have the right mindset, you have a purpose in life, you can turn anything around. And I think this has been an opportunity to really sort of forge ahead and get your plans in place and get your business actually accelerating much quicker than what you would have done if this hadn't happened.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Well, I want to become a global speaker. That's my big, big goal. And you know, for me, the world's never been a smaller place than it is right now.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, obviously with the technology, now as we are talking on Zoom, then whether it's in, no, you don't need to be on a world stage. You've got a world stage via these calls.
Yeah.
So it's, and you would never likely to have had that stage if this hadn't happened.
No, no, definitely not. You know, that's the other thing which I've enjoyed. So, you know, I've been in lockdown for 8 years, working from home, if you like, for 8 years, and then just real world networking, which I'm now doing online networking a lot more. But the thing is, when you're in that situation and everyone else is in, you know, commuting and lunch breaks and all the rest of that, then it can be difficult to get hold of people, you
Yeah,
know.
exactly. So
Whereas
time
now,
is much more effective.
yeah, you can ring them any time of day from about 8 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock at night, and you're going to get hold of someone generally.
Yeah, I don't know if you were finding this as well, Mike, but I'm having more inquiries where there's more opportunities where there's JVs,
Yeah.
where it's obviously to examine other people's businesses, which is obviously what you do anyway. But I'm finding that there seems to be more doors opening to do different things. I wouldn't use the word pivot in this example, but it's just different opportunities, different avenues that you can go down, which you wouldn't have been able to or even thought about before.
No, but I think because what happens is change is a bit like a muscle, and you're either exercising it or you're not. You know, I'm somebody, I love change. I love adaptability. I love flexibility. You know, I am somebody, I just don't like the comfort zone. I like living my life outside of the comfort zone because that's where all the magic happens, and that's where
It does.
things are fun and exciting, and where growth happens and all of that. And I think what's happened is people have, I know a million people, entrepreneurs, they've all been on my show, right? And all the entrepreneurs, they all had things they wanted to do, but didn't have the time to do it. And they've all been doing it over the last, after a month, say at the beginning of the lockdown, they've all been making those changes since. So what happens is now they're in the habit of change. So they're actually going, okay, well, let's partner up with you or collaborate with you or whatever. And I'm a massive networker, and I don't go to networking to find end users. I used to manage a reseller affiliate channel in a corporate fast growth business.
Okay, yeah.
I try and partner up with people. To me, it's always about collaboration, working together, partnerships. You know, how can we help each other? Lead referrers. The last people I'm looking for is end user customers.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's like one to ones, whereas I'm looking for the one to many's.
You know, that term has popped into my head so many times over the last couple of months. And like you, this is what I've been doing a lot of my time in this period is how do I get my message out to not to many class? There's not even just one to many. And I've been able to, if you like, come up with a few sort of variations, whether it's online courses, whether it's group courses, whether it's one-to-ones, but it's all online. So I haven't got to waste. I mean, I got clients all over the UK. There's nothing for me to waste 3 or 4 hours in a day just in the car.
Yeah.
That is, I wouldn't say it's going to go in total, but that is going to be greatly reduced. And it gives the opportunity to, if you like, construct and create your business day as you want. So if you can do this online, And you can do it, as you know, you can do it. It's just a mindset in terms of whether or not you can or not. But it can be done online, and you can get so much more done, and you can reach so many more people.
Yeah, well, I used to be a national sales director, and I've driven up to Leeds, Newcastle, up and back in the same day just to do 1 2 hour appointment. You know what I mean? I've lost like 9 hours,
Yeah,
traveling just to go do 1 2 hour appointment. But it
yeah,
was obviously for a decent size. I was key accounts, 10 million plus turnover businesses. So they were big, big, big deals, but still now, before you couldn't turn around to a finance director of a 10 million turnover business and say, go on to Zoom, I'll pitch you on Zoom. You know what I mean? Just wouldn't have happened. You've got to drive your way and earn your crust, if you like. But now, he probably thinks the same as you. Actually, he'd rather do that. He'd rather go on Zoom. So once the tipping point is gone now, and there's no putting the rabbit back in the hat.
no,
You know what I mean?
no.
It's out now, and so I think yes, I'm massively in favour of face to face. I love shaking hands. I love having a drink with people. I love looking into the whites of people's eyes. And if the right deal and the right situation lends itself to that, then that will still be what I'll do. But the efficiency of fact finding and getting to know people and stuff, well, that can happen just as easily on Zoom as it
Yeah,
does anywhere else. So I think there's going to be a lot more. I used to have a rule when I was running the corporate sales team, is that if it was up to £3,000, we would deal with it over the phone anyway, because we were national, working out of
yeah,
Caerphilly. But if it was over £3,000, we'd go and see them, because people want to be able to trust you and get to know you before spending larger amounts of money. And I think there's a lot more companies and people can be putting in those type of systems and saying, okay, well, maybe if it's a 2-step process, instead of going to see them twice, I'll Zoom them first time, see them the second time, or if I got to go and see someone 4 times a year like I used to, once a quarter, I'll see them 3 times on Zoom and once a year in the real world.
That's exactly how my business is going to change, or is changing. And now when I'm taking on new clients, and strange enough, I've taken on quite a few new clients over the last few weeks, is the first question, or one of the first questions I ask them is that, how do you want to communicate with me? Are you happy to do this over Zoom, or do you want face-to-face, or do you want a combination of the two? And more often than not, it is happy with Zoom, but I would like to see you from time to time if we need to, and obviously etc. So I said, that's fine by me.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, but don't forget though, that also creates a lot of savings in many different aspects. One, you can cut costs, because one, obviously, it is costing money to travel, whether it's on the train, whether it's in the car, whatever it is. You can spend more time doing the things which are important rather than wasting it in travel. You could argue you could actually work from anywhere.
Yeah.
You work from home. You've done it for the last 8 years. You
Yeah.
don't need big, expensive offices to the same extent that you have. Like, you have the flexibility, but you can clearly work in a much more effective way and a less costly way. And not only that, I mean, you could argue that this is not always a good factor, but sometimes you can work with or have a team which is much more focused, maybe a smaller team, but they know exactly what they're doing. So you can save costs on that way as well. And you can actually grow your business better, because you've got a better fine-tuned team that works with you for the same end result.
Yeah, well, I'm a big advocate anyway of using technology instead of people if you can, because technology never lets you down and it
Yeah,
costs less over the long term. Because people is usually the biggest cost in any business. So I'm
correct.
into efficiency and being able to run my business the best way I can. Yeah, and also if you for me anyway, it makes more sense to outsource most things than it does to employ, because there's a lot more cost involved in employing than it is outsourcing. You know,
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah.
get better people for less money outsourcing than you can employing.
Yeah. I think what I found with that is that there are 1 or 2 people that are key, and I need those, if you like, close at hand. But the rest of the tasks, if you like, that I need done, they can all be done through outsourcing.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And, because you're only paying for the hours of the work. You're not paying for the
Correct.
hours of the pension, the sickness, the
Yeah.
management,
Yeah.
the equipment, all of that stuff that goes with it. You're probably paying twice as much for a staff member than you are for an outsourced person.
Yeah.
And they're probably not as good.
Yeah.
That's my own sort of feeling. Like,
Well, I think if you outsource, don't forget now, you're not just then limited to local people or even the UK people. This is a global now situation where I was listening to a podcast this morning. I've actually seen a client this morning because it was at a crucial stage, so they needed a little bit more hand holding. But I was listening to a podcast, and the guy on there was stating that they now advertise globally, and as a result of that, whereas in the UK, because they can outsource these tasks, they were limited to maybe, I don't know, a couple of hundred people. Now, on average, they're getting 10 times that, 2,000 people or applicants, and the quality is way up there compared to what it was just for the UK
yeah,
or
well,
local people.
also the quality versus the price, the value.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
the value is, and that's the thing, is that this is a global market now, and this is, prices are going to get competitive because all of a sudden prices are going to be come down because of that efficiency and expense, thing that you spoke about, so prices will come down because, people are going to get competitive, that's what will happen. But yeah, the whole world has opened up to you. And for me, the thing is with outsourcing as well, is they're not tied into a long-term contract. So if you don't tie them into a long-term contract, you can, if they don't do what they say they're going to do, you can get rid of them and just get another outsourced company in. You can't do that with staff members after they pass their probation.
Yeah, exactly. So,
So that's why I've never really rushed into getting stuff. I produce the output of probably a 10-man agency. I do it all through technology.
well, I think you're right. I mean, I think because I've always worked in the corporate worlds, similar to you, then it's always been, yes, you've got flexibility, but your base is still your office. And I think now what this has shown is that, yes, you still need many of those members of staff, but they can be, they can be in the kitchen, they can be in the bedroom, you can. In your own bedroom, that is. But you don't have to be side by side or on the same desk or next to each other to be able to get this work done.
No. And I was a big advocate myself. I have been for a long time, even though I wouldn't have it, but I think people should, is of the 4-3 split week, 4 working days and three on the weekend.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think this does. I mean, this has shown you can do more work in a shorter space of time. You can have a better balance in life.
Yeah, and I think if people are happier and have a better life, they'll work harder and they'll get more done. So actually, I think it's, as somebody who used to run sales teams, you could write off Monday morning because everyone was in meetings, and you could write off Friday afternoon because everyone's in the pub, whether realistically or mentally, they're either in the pub or not, right? So there's a day that nothing really happens anyway in a lot of businesses, in my experience.
I think in addition to that, where people perhaps are dreading work, because a lot of people do dread work, they hate work,
Yeah.
then if you can have that better balance, then people, can work longer. If they feel happier, they're healthier. If you're in lockdown, again, you mentioned this earlier, is that you can be much healthier. You can go for exercise a couple of times a day. You just feel so much better mentally and physically. Then if that work for you, then you can carry on for as long as you want to.
Yeah, definitely. So, at some point in the future, I'm probably going to run, a company which got a lot of salespeople on, but I'm probably going to pay them pro rata for 4 days instead of 5, and or let them have 5 if they want, but give them the option of having an extra day off and having to pay, so you give them that as a perk or whatever, and let them choose, because I pay people good money anyway, so it'll probably be, because to me, you've got to pay decent money to get decent people, so it'll probably be in the 4-day workers will be on the same money as what most people would offer 5-day
Yeah,
workers,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But you get that USP then that you're offering a better work-life balance than other people are, and you're basically being realistic with people and saying, well, listen, I know you don't want to be in work all the hours under the sun, so take some time off. Use that extra day a week to go and see your kids in plays and all that stuff that makes you feel good. Because I know not only will they feel fresher and get more work done, but they'll work harder for your targets and all the rest of that because you're showing some compassion and sympathy and stuff towards them and what they want out of life.
But the added benefit to that, Mike, is that when somebody rings in or contacts them, their enthusiasm for the business is
Yeah,
going to come through.
yeah.
So it's going to be, oh, we've all run different institutions or different places where somebody is can't be bothered, they're not interested, or just quite rude. What the difference is when you've rung somebody where that person on the other line has that sort of bubbly sort of character, and they're enthusiastic about themselves and the business they work for. That makes such a difference.
Oh yeah, yeah. So as well as like you getting better staff, then all the conversion rates and the KPIs of the business all improve. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I've been in a lot of like high pressurized sales environments, all my life, and so I've seen, and I've also been in some well-run ones, Scandinavian styles and all the rest of that, and I know the difference it makes. It makes a massive difference, and now the rule book has been ripped up, if you like. This is the time to implement change in your business, like this is the time for anyone to implement whatever they want their business to look like. At the end of the day, shape it however you want to shape it, because there's no rules to conform to anymore. Everything's changed.
Well, the dial has definitely been reset at the moment, and it's up to you to all of us to reset it, and then set that in whatever direction you want to. But you have to have that positive mindset. You have to have that sort of viewpoint where your glass is half full rather than half empty. You've got to be in a place where you are really enthusiastic about what you do, and that what you do can help so many other people, and you will get the most out of not only your business but out of other people. At the end of the day, business is about other people, whether it's online, whether it's face to face. How you communicate with people makes such a difference, and it can make or break you as a business if you are negative.
That's right.
You haven't got a purpose, you don't enjoy what you're doing, then you can have the opposite effect. So I think for me, whereas I think like most people, I was very concerned at the start, but now I actually think for me it's been a hugely positive experience, outside of obviously the tragic things that's happened to various people. But from a business point of view, and from where I want to go in the future, it's allowed me the time to be able to reset that dial, and I'm on now a different path to what I would have been beforehand.
Yeah, and I'm Welsh with an Irish grandmother, so I don't believe in half full glasses. I'm into I'm
Is
into
that
filling
Guinness
it
as
up.
well then, or what?
I'm into filling it up and letting it overflow a bit, like what I mean. And like you said quite rightly, obviously I've been lucky. I haven't been touched by much to do with this
Yeah,
situation. I say by much because I do have a father and his girlfriend who are shielding, so I got
yeah.
to do shopping every week for them as well as me. So that's impacted me a bit. But other than that, the positives have way far outweighed the negatives for me. And so the whole situation's been fantastic, for me. But hopefully, it doesn't get worse and it doesn't affect people, because then that is when it does get bad. But for a lot of us business people, I think, a fresh start and a clean sweep and, new innovations and stuff, a lot of us have enjoyed it. So, that's the experience I've got on my podcast, But tell us a little bit about then the TT Wealth and the business, the products, the different solutions that you offer, that sort of thing.
All right. Well, I'm a chartered financial advisor, and I've been helping people for over 30 years. So my role, I suppose, has been as a wealth manager. So the areas I've worked in has been pensions and retirement, which is at this moment has the bigger focus because pension freedoms happened a couple of years ago. So everybody is tuned in to have the choices that they now have, which they didn't before. So that's a lot of the work that we do, or I do in particular. I've always been in the investment world, having worked for some of the biggest investment houses in the UK and globally. So I'm adept at creating and managing investment portfolios for people. And on the back of that, then, once obviously we help people to build their wealth in whatever fashion that is, we can help them pass that wealth on to the next generation in the most tax efficient way. But one of the things that seems to be gathering pace at the moment is more life planning. So you don't have to have money to do life planning. So it's really about understanding what people's dreams and aspirations are, making them, what is their why, etc. Where do they want to do? What's their ideal destination when they retire, for example?
Yeah.
And showing them how they can get that, no matter where their starting point is.
Yeah.
All right. Traditionally, IFAs, independent financial advisors, are only dealing with wealthy individuals, or certainly even the more affluent. Life planning is gathering pace where you don't have to be affluent or wealthy to actually have the benefits of that, because there is a depth of financial education, I think, in the UK. And I think this is where people can have a lot more benefit from that sort of type of planning.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's good. And it's funny because I had you've got a podcast as well, haven't you? Which I'm
Yeah,
going to
just
ask you
starting, yeah.
what does that talk about? What's the theme of that? Is that financial planning?
Well, it's similar. So it's a combined. So for me, it's about sharing, if you like, tips about how to make the most of the money that they have, whatever area that is in. But what I like to do as well is share or talk to other people where they've had challenges in their life, certainly from a money point of view, how they've got through those challenges, and how now their life has changed. And if they've been successful, then what lessons have they learned going through those different challenges.
Yeah.
So it's about really the listeners are going to be obviously brought to the brush in terms of the sort of listeners. So some people are going to be whether they're going to be affluent or whether they're going to be they've got two pennies to rub together. There's going to be something in there for all of them to pick up and take from it.
Yeah.
And they can obviously use that to their own advantage and obviously improve their own lives. Don't forget now, as we all know, sometimes it only takes one little tip
Yeah.
that resonates with one person that can make a huge difference.
Yeah, definitely, exactly. I myself, I had some issues with the global credit crunch. So and because I got divorced not long after it as well, so I had a double whammy, if you like, a global credit crunch and a divorce.
Things don't come in as singles; they come in twos and threes. So
yeah, exactly. So yeah, and things like that can take a bit of time to overcome, to get over. But yeah, it was interesting. I had a chap on, I think it was a couple of nights ago, who was from America, who does investments and wealth planning and stuff, and also has started a podcast recently as well. So there must be something in the air.
Well, I think again, I've been meaning to do this for the last 2 years. Obviously I've now had the extra time. I won't say loads of time, but extra time to be able to do these things. I've recently set up my YouTube channel, which I've focused on more.
Yeah.
So I was going to do this in 2 steps of the process. So my YouTube channel seems to be, I'm rubbish at it, but it's getting better. And over the last month, for example, I'm nearly up to 2,000 subscribers. So I'm quite pleased with that, because I thought I'd have 10 by now.
Yeah, that's pretty going,
So the next step then is to do similar via the podcasts, and all the information I get from some of the people I speak to are already doing podcasts. Podcast is by far the best way to, if you like, spread the words, build your brands, work with other people, partners, and it'll be interesting to see what your thoughts and your experiences are on that.
Yeah, well, so it took me about 2 months, I think, to get about 1,000 downloads. I was only recording maybe 3 episodes a day, and I only do short episodes, like 5, 10, 15 minutes when I'm recording on my own. They're either like 1 or 2 minutes, or they're 5 minutes, or they're 10 minutes, or they're 15 minutes. They're just however long they are when I talk into the phone and then stop, And I got different features, so different features end up being a bit longer than that. I started then doing the dual interview stuff, probably in
Yeah.
June the 10th, something like that. So I did about 2 months. And so, like, I sometimes get 3 or 4 interviews in a day because I'm a big networker. So I got a lot of
Yeah.
people to network with. And obviously, that's what produces my content. So since I've been doing that, that's been taking my average then up to, say, 7, 8 a day. I aim to try and do 10 a day, but it's probably averaging around 8 a day. Maybe 4 or 5 interviews, or three interviews on a quiet day, and then all the singular, stuff that I do. And so, it took me about 2 months to get about 1,000 downloads, and then it took me about a month to get 1,000 downloads. Then it took me about another month, a bit less, maybe 3 weeks to get 1,000 downloads. So it's each 1,000 milestone is coming quicker, slightly quicker.
Yeah.
So because obviously it takes a while to get into all the podcasts and then for you to get found and all of that. Plus, I only market every episode once. Yeah, I market it in multiple places, but just once, and that's it. But at any time, I can go back around and remarket those episodes.
You can, yeah.
So for example, say I get 10 listeners per episode, yeah, then I can remarket it the same number of places the next time and maybe get 10 again, or I might get 6. And if I remarket it again, I could get 4. So if you like, I can just keep building the numbers up. The thing is, the content's evergreen, you know.
Yeah, I think that's key. Is this the topics or the subject is to, if you can, is to keep it evergreen. Yes, you can have some times where you're going to need to get something out there quickly, which is obviously relevant for that time.
Promotion on there and stuff, but most of it's evergreen. It's chats about business, pivoting. The lockdown. All of my chats are all evergreen because they're all like, I do like at the moment I've got the A to Z of networking going on, the A to Z of marketing, the A to Z of sales, and the A to Z of entrepreneurship. So I just think of something beginning with A or B or C. I'm up to, I think, H or G on some of them. But I've got the 4 running together. So I've been blogging for 15 years, so I use quite a lot of the same strategies for content.
Yeah, it's strange you say that because I haven't been blogging for that long, but I've been blogging for the last 2 years. A lot of content, certainly on my YouTube channel at the moment. Said the podcast is only just starting, so for my YouTube, a lot of that I've just repurposed from my blogs.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think for me, this is one of the beauties of these social channels is that you can repurpose. And you can, which is obviously what I'm sure this is what you're doing today, is that you can video and record for both a YouTube channel if you want to and a podcast.
Yeah, well, I'm into efficiency, right? So when I was podcasting, I decided, I come up with a target originally of 3 a day, right? Yeah. Well, originally, I was going to do 1 a week. I set up my podcast, and it was called Mike's Weekly Podcast. And then I realized I had too much to say for 1 a week. That's just wouldn't work. So then I changed it to Mike's Daily Podcast. But then I actually started doing 3 a day pretty regularly.
Really?
So that was my target. I was like, right, I've got to do 3 a day. And then I thought, actually, I want to do 1 a day YouTube as well. And then I thought, well, at the moment, I'm so busy podcasting and YouTube, and I don't get time to follow up with all the people I network with. So then I had a pizzazz moment when I thought, actually, if I just follow up with people on Zoom, record it, and stick it on the audio, I'm doing 3 things that take me 30 to 45 minutes each. I'm doing them all together at one time.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's, again, a perfect example of how efficient you can be using technology and social media.
And I'm somebody who likes to find those things out because I teach those things to other people now. So I've actually taught a couple of other people how to do that in podcasting. And then the other thing I do then is when it goes to my podcast or it goes to YouTube, from both of those places, you can then share it to your Facebook, your Twitter, your LinkedIn, your blogs. Yeah. So I feed 1 episode goes to probably another 20 social accounts. So that takes me 15 minutes, right? So if it's a 45-minute episode, it takes me an hour. Now, I know there'll be people out there who will take 4 hours to do what I can do in an hour.
Where's your favorite place to post? Is it Facebook? Is it LinkedIn? Is it Instagram? Where is yours? At the
moment, the best social media platform to get organic growth on without having to pay is LinkedIn.
Yeah, it's my favourite. I think both of us are pretty active on there.
Yeah,
I think that.
So I'm a B2B marketer, not really. I do a bit of B2C, but I'm mostly.
Yeah, B2C is mine in reality. So, but I'm getting more B2B. That's what one of the things I'm finding with all being in different places. That is what one of the pleasant surprises that I'm getting a lot more B2B opportunities.
Well, I'll send you an invite to join my Welsh Business Network podcast, LinkedIn
Yeah,
pod. Yeah,
yeah,
where you can join in. There's 20 odd people there. We need to get it probably up to 30 because sometimes you do a post, put the link into the pod, and you only get 7 or 8 like or comment it. But if
okay.
you get to 10, it goes viral. It goes to about 10 times more places.
Yeah, yeah. I know the score where it's 20 comments, 20 likes, and then obviously can spiral
Goes
from there.
super
So
viral
it's
then. Yeah, if you get 20,
yeah,
it's super viral. But 10 an average post from me will get viewed by 50 people. If I get my 10 likes and comments within the first hour, it'll go out to 500 people. And it goes
right,
out to about another 100 people for every other like and above that. So,
right.
so if you get like 12, 13, 14, 15, it'll go, sometimes it'll go, the most I've had is maybe like 18 or something. It'll go to like 1,800 or 1,500
Yeah,
people.
okay.
Yeah.
I think I've been lucky there because I've been doing it for quite some time, and uh, it's not unusual for me to have 80 to 110 comments on there. And the number of views, for example, is probably averaging nearly 3,000
Yeah, yeah.
each
So what
post.
happens is then it builds the algorithm up, so a
Correct,
bit like
yeah,
your
yeah.
ranking. So then once you begin lots of numbers, every post you do then just automatically gets showed because it's engaged. So I've only been doing this for about a month or two. So I would say over the years, I used to use LinkedIn when I was in the corporate world 8 years ago for 10 years when it first came out. I was massively LinkedIn. Then I switched to Twitter. Then I switched to Facebook. I still do a bit on everything else, but I like learning new stuff and testing it and then doing more. That's why I'm in podcasting now. So I keep everything, but it's just I keep it in. I like to test it, work out what it does, and then okay, which one do I prioritize, and then which one do I put second in the list and third in the list? I like to be everywhere. I'm what's called omnipresent.
Yeah, but it also helps with SEO. So if you are in more places, you are going to be picked up if people are doing searches. So it's we know about the connection with Google and YouTube,
Yeah,
etc. Obviously, the same with Facebook and Instagram. So the more places you are, the more likely you get found anyway. But I will say this about LinkedIn is that LinkedIn used to be is totally different now. Why people use it as opposed to why they used to use it.
yeah,
Now it's very much a marketing tool
yeah.
and not just obviously connecting with your peers, should we say, which is what it was
Yeah, what it used to be
originally.
like. Yeah. Now
Yeah.
it's more
So
opened
it's
up as it's opened up
yeah,
as the marketing tool at
yeah,
the moment.
yeah, yeah. I agree.
I'm the number
So
one Mike Armstrong on LinkedIn out of 1,700 because I've been using LinkedIn for a long time and proactively. I'm also the number one Mike Armstrong in Google, and
oh
because
yeah,
of
right. Okay, good.
what
Yeah,
I do, yeah, that was a big mission of mine to become the number one Mike Armstrong because I've got a very popular name, and there's actually quite a lot of famous people use it as well.
yeah. No, there's a few Armstrongs and there's a few Mike Armstrongs about too. So
Yeah, yeah. I'm on about like CEOs of big companies and comedians and all sorts of things. And I had to beat all of those people. And I do. I've beaten them all. Because like I want to become, if people want to hear me here, there, anywhere, I want them to, when they type me in into wherever they find me, they find me. And they do find me, And I've been using a hashtag since the beginning of the year, hashtag Mike Armstrong. I got about 100 hashtags that I use. But if you search Google hashtag Mike Armstrong, I own that hashtag. No one else owns it. I own it.
are you trending when when you got your post and trending for Mike Armstrong? That'd be a nice.
Yeah, well, if you type in Mike and then I think a something, it comes up with Armstrong now as well. So all of these things, Lucy, are things you can manipulate with content
Yeah,
over time. Yeah. So actually, so I do a lot of B2B marketing, but I'm about to pivot again. Something else I'm just waiting to put the content on my site, but I've got the strategy in my head. I built a personal branding website because I build websites and stuff as well. So I'm going to pivot towards branding people, for people who want to become famous, because I proved, I don't want to become famous. I want to become well known so I can get global speaking gigs, so I can help as many people on the planet with my information and knowledge. Yeah, but a lot of people want to become famous. But whatever, I always say you want to become the most known person in your sector, even if you don't want fame, because that's how you become successful in a sector, is by being the key person of influence in that sector.
Yeah, well, it's the old adage is, you help as many people as you possibly can, and obviously it will come back to you. Don't chase the fame, don't chase the money, but you have a purpose in life, which is to help as many people as you can. Then the rewards will come back to you, whether it's monetary, whether it's that satisfaction or whatever you do, you get when you help people.
Yeah.
Then I think people sometimes or often chase the wrong things.
Yeah, definitely, and then for me, I love helping people. I've been managing people since I was 18, and I'm like 43 now. So I've spent most of my life helping people, because when you're a sales manager, it's like managing a bunch of kids. They need help with everything, and I got used to that, and I like it, and I find it rewarding. And I suppose since the lockdown as well, I've upped that as well, because I've helped a few people with mental health issues, and that was the reason why I started my podcast, was because I wanted to be a bit of positivity in the world of negativity, which was what was around at the time of lockdown. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
started this as soon as lockdown began, because I actually got a hashtag on social media called positive coronavirus news, because I don't subscribe to the normal news, and I like to dip in and dip out when I think there's something I need to know. And the rest of the time, I'm not interested in them trying to work out every single negative aspect of every single negative story. I believe the media should be controlled like it is with politicians. If they have someone conservative on, they're going to have someone social on. Yeah, I think if they have someone negative on, they should have something positive on. But
Yeah,
basically,
to balance it out. Yeah,
the news
yeah.
is 90% negativity, with like the weather, or like when there's sport with some positive sport news on or something, and that's about it. And I think that's what's destroying the psychology of the nation and of people. So I think it shouldn't be allowed. It should be, they're on about like now the diet tax and the sugar tax and all of that. They should put a negative news tax,
I never thought that one, but that's not a bad idea. So.
Yeah, well, most of the people I know, entrepreneurs and successful people in that, they don't watch the news. They make the news.
You're right there. I learned this lesson many years ago, where in my early days in sales training, I was locked away in on the outskirts of Oxford in a nice country manor sort of setting. And the guy there that was a trainer, he said, "Do not watch the news or listen to the news."
Oh.
He said it will only create negativity in your mind.
Yeah, exactly. If you get a load of, if somebody tells you, apparently, if someone gives you one negative comment, it takes eight or something positive ones to counterbalance it.
Well,
You
it's
know?
a little bit like referrals, isn't it? So if you had and go back to our earlier points, if you have, should we say, if you refer somebody to a friend or a relative because the service or the product was great, then that's great. But if you bitch about that on social media, then that's going to, it's several times that sort of level.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you can work hard to get one
Yeah,
referral, but you can
yeah,
easily get eight, lost customers quickly
yeah,
by doing
yeah,
something wrong. Because bad news spreads quicker. Everyone
yeah,
loves to bitch and talk about everyone else, and that's why like there's 24-hour news now, where there's just literally like before the global pandemic, it was Brexit and how terrible it was for everybody, both sides, right?
yeah,
Just negativity. Since the coronavirus, no, not a word of Brexit. That's how important Brexit was. It just disappeared completely. But they
yeah.
literally try and rinse every story, because there's nothing going on, because negativity sells more than positivity. Yeah, they just literally, they want to know 75,000 different perspectives of the negative story, when they
Yeah.
could just put the one perspective on, let everyone else work out how they want to see that story, and then put something good on. But they don't.
Yeah, I tell you what, I pick up one of the points that you mentioned earlier. It's great to see that we've actually got quite a few synergies going on between us, because one of the things that you mentioned earlier, you wanted to start. You started your podcast because there was lots of problems. There was lots of, should we say, negativity, mental health issues as well out there. And that was one of my big spurs in doing the YouTube channel, as well as obviously starting the podcast, because I could see people who were really worried about their financial situation,
Yeah.
and it was my way, if you like there is help out there. You don't need to, should we say, panic. But these are the measures and the tips that you can do that will help you in these areas. And there's support out there if you need to talk to somebody.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, if you've got good information, I don't know whether you'd be up for it or not, but I'd happily put your episodes on my episodes.
All right, well, let's do that, because that would be useful for both of us.
Yeah, I got a lot of people listen to me who don't listen to you, and vice versa. That's why, like artists do duets with another artist, because it grows their following. You suck up each other's audiences, if you like, and double up. Yeah. So I'm up for that, because you can actually out of Anchor. What podcast system do you use? I use Anchor.
Well, actually, I'm only going live. I'm going live in the next couple of weeks, so it's not there. But the plan is to go on to Anchor. I probably go on. Well, the intention is to go on at least 5 of the platforms.
Okay.
On there.
Yeah,
so,
well, I can export out of Anchor the audio, or if it's come from Zoom, I got a list of all the audios anyway. So, for example, I can import audio and I can put my own episode before and after it, so I can talk about it. So I can say, I listened to this episode and it was fantastic because of X, Y, and Z. And then it's got a different person's opinion. So it'd be like guest posting on blogs and that sort of thing.
Okay, so that's a great idea. So.
Yeah, I'm up for that, because to me it's just I want to help people and provide value, and if you're covering topics I'm not covering, then for me I'm adding more value, and I'm adding value to you as well, because I'm spreading your good word to other people, and like you said, you've got 30 years of knowledge in there, and probably like me, the reason you wrote the book and doing the podcast now is you don't want to just have that knowledge in there and not reaching people. You want to reach as many people as you can and share that knowledge with them,
Yeah, I think when you got the knowledge and the experience, then I think it's actually quite selfish to keep it to yourself.
Yes,
I think you get to a stage in life, and obviously you've reached that as well, where the motivation isn't about money. It's about sharing and helping others. And I think that's where my, if you like, new lease of life have come from.
Yeah.
And that's also been ignited, if you like, by the pandemic. But having the time to be able to do these things, and the more I'm doing, I can see by you it's the same, the more enthusiastic that you get about it.
Of course you do, yeah, because it's a great thing. It's scientifically proven. Doing like random acts of kindness, for example, is proven to make you happier. You get a release of oxytocin. It's the same as like if you're stroking a puppy or a baby and that sort of thing. It's the same scientific hormone that gets produced. So like I'm constantly producing content that I know is going to help younger entrepreneurs, young sales guys, whatever. And I'm just trying to help them learn from the knowledge I've learned over the years to get to whenever they want to get to the next level and whatever. And so to me, it's just like there's nothing better than doing something. I'd much rather give to someone than do a deal with them. You know what I mean? So I do free marketing for people as well as the free education. A lot of people tag me in on social media, and I'll reshare their content to my audience and all that sort of stuff. I think
good.
It's
well, I think that's touching on a slightly different subject in terms of the website. It'll be perhaps useful for me for you to have a look at my website.
Yeah.
Okay, because there's my website is aimed at education, if you like, that financial literacy sort of area, and it's all free. There's loads on there. Yeah. I think that if somebody has a question about, should we say, pensions and investing and estate planning in particular, then there is going to be something on there that people will find extremely useful.
Yeah. What's the web address?
It is ttwealth.co.uk.
Yeah, that's nice and easy.
Yeah, the branding, I've tried to be consistent with my branding. Again, I'm sure you advocate this across all of the platforms I use.
Everything you do. And also make the most of your real estate. Yeah, so a lot of people won't put brand on, but they won't put contact information or call to action on. Yeah,
correct. Yeah.
So I always say make the most of your shop window. Have a nice display in it, rather than just an empty window which people can't see anything in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's what I actually find it quite. It's a new area for me in terms of the marketing side, because I've been in a world which is quite stuffy, if I'm honest.
yeah,
Um,
just traditional, just old
yeah,
school.
it's traditional. It's traditional. It's sort of a oldie worldly type place. It's the old image of what should we say, old bank managers or stockbrokers used to be, and it's nothing like that these days whatsoever.
No,
But as a result of that, you've stayed away from, should we say, other things like marketing, which
yeah,
at the end of the day, you're marketing yourself and
yeah,
obviously the services that you do, and obviously you can't, it's probably the best sort of task or time you'll spend is marketing yourself, your own brands, because that is where your value is going to be, if you like, shared with lots of other people. They will benefit and you will benefit at the same time.
yeah. That's why the personal branding is massive, because some people can switch businesses and companies and all sorts of things, or have multiples, but the one thing they'll always be is them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want to write books, you want to do podcasts, you want to give back, you want to speak, you want to do all things in the future, then obviously the more personal branding you have, and the more credibility, and the more people who know you, the more anything that you do or produce, the more effect it's going to get, isn't it? So that's why I've been on the personal branding mission with personal branding website. I got a mikearmstrong.me website because I couldn't get .co.uk or .com.
Yeah, that's always frustrating, that is.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. I don't know why I didn't think at the time, because I'm really good at overcoming these challenges. But I could have just gone for Mike Lee Armstrong, which is my middle name, because a lot of my emails are Mike Lee Armstrong because I couldn't
Are
get
they okay?
Mike Armstrong's. So that would have been consistency as well with a lot of my email addresses. But I ended up doing the .me anyway, because the .me is for personal branding sites. So that domain, and a lot of people think you've got to have the .co.uk and .com, and it does look more professional and it's better. But actually, from a ranking point of view, my website's ranked really high, really quickly
Is
from
it?
the
Okay.
from the SEO strategies that I've done and all the marketing that I do. But I'm massively into clever ways of link building and all the things you need to do. At the end of the day, if you just produce a lot of content and you put it in a lot of places, then you can get anything ranked. You know what I mean? But it's just about how much work and how much time you're willing to put into something. You know?
Yeah, one of my next big projects, which is what I'm probably trying, why I'm doing a lot of this social media side of it as well, YouTube, obviously the podcast, is that I want to create a TT Wealth Academy. So that's my ultimate aim, if you like. So that's going to be hopefully a place where people will be able to have lots of information. Obviously, much of it will be free, and if people want, more coaching, then obviously there's different versions of that coaching that they can have. So.
Yeah, well, we're on exactly the same mission by the sounds of it, because I want to build a Mike Armstrong, business training academy, sales, marketing, social
What I
media.
said to you earlier, there were so many synergies as we've been talking. It's quite uncanny, actually, Mike. So,
Yeah,
as
well,
if we set this
we
up.
got the same goal, and we got the same strategic brain. We've both been in business for the sounds of it 30 odd years. I've been doing mine 30 years, you 30 years. But because I started at 11, so I'm only 43, but I got in there quick, out of necessity. So
Yeah, but I think it's important for the listeners and the viewers to understand we've never spoken before. So
no,
for us to come on now and have very similar synergies and obviously thought processes and obviously the direction that we go in, I find that quite,
yes.
yeah, I think it's great actually.
It's
So.
great, yeah. Well, I think it's brilliant. Whereabouts are you based? It looks like a Cardiff Bay office, but
No, I've got my main office, which I'm in another group, which is called Wealth Masters. We got a office in Bridgend near the Ford factory.
yeah,
And then I've got a small satellite office in Llantrisant, opposite the Royal Mint, on
okay.
Edward's business coach's business site.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So
Yeah. I was
it's,
going to say, maybe we obviously, when things start opening up, we'd have to go for a drink sometime and just
yeah,
compare notes and stuff, really. But yeah, my literally, I have an open door policy, so an open phone policy. People ring me any time of day or night. If everything is stuck with anything, or if you want to, get a second opinion or whatever, I'm always open for chatting and helping. And I always say to people, text me, text me because I can reply back then quickly. Like, don't ever email me.
Yeah, what I tend to use, well, text is one, but obviously WhatsApp as well, quite a lot.
Yeah, I do it.
And yeah, I'm the same. I mean, for my own contacts and clients in particular, then I tell them, look, I'm one of the things that sets me apart is that you got access to me virtually 24/7. Although I do need to sleep a couple of hours from time to time.
Yeah.
And in fairness, people do. But I don't mind that. I like that, especially if it's over the weekend. Like, don't worry about something. If it's really bothering you, you text me when that sort of worry comes to your mind, and I can either answer you straight away with a simple answer, or if it's a bit more complicated, I'll pick up the phone and I'll ring you back, and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. At the end of the day, if somebody needs something at a certain time of day, then why wait? Well, there's no need to wait. Just give someone a ring, And people ring me all the time to ask me how to do stuff, and most of the time, I either know how to do it, or other times I'll just Google it or YouTube it. Sometimes I say to them, "Well, why didn't you just Google it or YouTube it?" I come from that world where if I need to know how to do anything and I don't know how to do it, I'll just stick it into Google, and I'll either go through the YouTube videos or the Google listings, depending on which one I think's best.
Yeah, I'm sure, again, another sort of question, and this is for you really, is that I think a lot of people listening to this will be interested in obviously a podcast themselves. They've probably been thinking about it the same as what we have, but they've not taken that next step. So obviously you've got more experience with the podcast than me. So what sort of kit do you have, and how easy do you find to actually do these?
Well, that's what I love about podcasting. So I started off doing it on my phone with just an Anchor app, and I just use my phone. So literally the phone. And obviously now I do the video and audio together. I just do it on a laptop. So any laptop, yeah. Obviously you just I've got a free Zoom account, so I don't even pay for the Zoom account.
All right, that's even better, yeah.
So I've got a free Zoom account, which does me fine. So I probably will pay for it at some point when I start doing bigger events on it myself.
Yeah.
I am looking at a couple of other systems. So I want to do my own speaking events and multiple speaking events and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. But for now, I've got a free Zoom account. I've got a laptop, so I go onto Zoom. I actually talk to myself on Zoom and record the video, and then take that audio and video, stick it in my podcast. Yeah, but I actually do a lot of my podcast only episodes just as podcast audio only on my phone still. Yeah. But the ones I do like this, I do on Zoom, and then once you finish the Zoom call, the audio and the video pops up on your desktop and into a folder, a Zoom folder, and I just grab the audio, stick it into my Anchor, because you can go to the Anchor website and stick it into your Anchor app from there. I drag the YouTube audio and stick it into my YouTube channel, upload it there, and then from there I share it to all my social media now. So literally, I haven't invested in anything. And I've done something like 400 episodes on my podcast since the end of April, and I've probably done about 70 entrepreneur chats. I call them, they're entrepreneur interviews or whatever, they're chats. I've done probably 70 of them since maybe like 10th of June, something like that. So I'm probably out contenting most of the podcasting YouTube marketplace that does what I'm doing. And I'm doing it, with a smartphone and a laptop.
That is brilliant, because I think what it does do is shows that anybody can do this.
Yeah,
because you've already got these devices.
Yeah, and sometimes I'm on multiple devices, so I'll be on a networking event, listening to a network. I'm recording a Zoom and turn the volume down and then back up when it's my turn to talk. And there's all sorts of different things you can do to balance with. So I have like multiple devices. I got 2 smartphones and a laptop, and the telly's always on in the background as well. So I feel like I'm living non-work life and work life at the same time.
I think, I tell you what would be great if we could ever do this, but whether or not we can create, a more of a group of podcasters.
Yeah. Yeah, so
You've got
as
one
well as
already?
sort of pivoting a bit with the online branding and stuff, I'm also
Yeah.
setting up a podcast agency and a speakers agency because I'm
All
going to put
right.
myself as profile on them as well. But I know I've met so many podcasters whilst doing this and interviewing, etc. Plus they're all speakers, etc. So all the podcasters, podcasters with their own podcasts and also speakers as well. So as I'm trying to get my own speaking gigs and podcasting gigs, etc., I'm gonna so I use a lot of Facebook groups and all of that as well for entrepreneurs and different things. So at some point I'm going to set up a podcasters group, a global podcasters group. I've already got a global networkers group and a global entrepreneurs group. So,
Yeah.
it just lends itself to that. I've already joined a really good Facebook group for podcasters. So that's where I get some international podcasters from.
Okay.
So yeah, and I'm just as I'm out marketing myself, whenever I get any gigs, either free or paid, to go on a podcast or any speaking gigs, then I'll also be able to turn around and say, well, also I got so and so from America, and I got so and so on this subject, and I got so and so on that. Plus, I'm massively connected to two health organizations with lots of coaches and speakers there. I belong to two networks which have got quite a lot of speakers in there. I've also just collaborated with a guy who's called the Virtual Power Networking. He's got a website and he's got 130 groups on WhatsApp. And he is global. They're all,
Yeah.
so each of these WhatsApp groups are niches, and there's like a different people from different niches where they all talk and network with each other online via WhatsApp, So again, I can connect you with Mark,
Yeah,
and
it'd be brilliant.
yeah, so I'm big into connecting people. So is he. So like we've met each other. He covers the southeast of England. I cover the southwest and South Wales.
Yeah.
I've also done a lot of networking in the southeast as well. But also he covers the globe because he's had a business for a long time, and he helps people in businesses in the UK relocate to Germany or set up in Germany or relocate to America or set up in America,
Yeah.
and that sort of thing, and also other countries around the world. And so I'll introduce you to them as well, to Mark and the WhatsApp groups. And yeah, I think there's loads we can do. Just we just keep helping each other on the journey. At the end of the day,
I think it'd be great to sort of see where we both end up doing these things. Because although we're doing the same things, we're in different industries. So I think it's going to be fascinating to see. If we catch up again in 6 months' time, 12 months' time, whatever it is, and see how where we've gone over that period.
Yeah, definitely. And like I say, don't leave it that long. Maybe we can catch up on the podcast that long.
Well, we will. I said I'll be hoping that you'll do the same for me in a couple of weeks' time, because I'm looking for guests. So anybody who wants to be a guest on my show, whether it's on obviously YouTube or whether it's my podcast, I would be delighted for that.
Yeah, I met a girl in PR in Germany today, and she's got about 10, 20 people she's thinking of sending my way because she does PR for them. So she writes press releases, and then obviously I can go on and publish those releases on my, I can talk about what they want to talk about on my podcast and on my YouTube and across all my social media. So that was a contact today that I met networking. That's going to be amazing. We got on. I get on like a house on fire with most people because I love people and I love helping people. So why wouldn't people want to benefit from that? And I think birds of a feather flock together as well, which is why we've pulled each other out out of LinkedIn, because all the people I seem to be getting on my podcast, they're all either sales and marketeers or entrepreneurs like I am, or they're podcasters like I am, or they're YouTubers like I am, or they're people who love to give and help other people like I am. So I think that it's just the universe sort of finds these people for you, or the shared energy finds them, or however we find each other, we just end up gravitating towards each other.
Yeah, I know I said this, but obviously there's a saying where you are who you surround yourself with. You're in a circle where the people that you sort of associate with, you become one of those. So pick those people wisely.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why, I listen to the best people on the planet in personal development. People like Brian Tracy and Les Brown and Sharon Lecter, Robert Kiyosaki, Grant Cardone, who's like my inspiration, Jarek Robbins, Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn. I listen to all the greats. I listen to them when I go out exercising twice a day. On my YouTube, usually free audiobooks. Don't need to
Yeah,
pay
no,
for
I'm a huge fan of audiobooks. Again, that's more to do with time as much as anything else. But you can listen to an audiobook when you are exercising or when you're driving, and you can still get, a great content by not having to take other time out to do something else.
Yeah. Well, I'm into efficiency, so I listen on the audiobook in the car when I'm driving instead of listening to the radio, which I used to do to get me psyched up. And now I listen to audio, and then I do it when I'm riding my bike or if I'm out for a walk and that. I do it when I'm cooking because I cook quite a lot, curries and stir fries and anything in a wok really. So while I'm there frying away or whatever, I'm
Sounds
listening.
like my type of cooking.
Yeah.
anything, as long as it goes in the wok.
If it's in a wok, I'll stand there and cook it because it's like doing something. Or I don't mind, sticking a pizza in the oven and just going back 30 minutes time and it's done. That's about pretty much how I cook.
You mentioned efficiency earlier. This is something I tend to struggle with, is spinning too many different plates.
Yeah.
So because you're obviously very busy. So it's a question of how do you manage spinning all these different plates that you're doing?
Well, I think what you've got to work out is which plates need concentration on to spin and which plates you can do without concentrating.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, when I'm building a website, I tend to have the TV on in the background and I've got a laptop on my thing and I'm concentrating on the website.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, when I'm doing social media, for example, I could be doing anything whilst also on my phone with my thumb going. Yeah. Because a lot of the time I do a lot of likes and reposts and that sort of thing. If I'm writing a good post on social media, I'll probably concentrate on it. If I'm going to do my pod LinkedIn post that I want to go far, I'll sit there and write that, with a bit of concentration. Just about picking and choosing what you can do, with pure focus and what you can do without pure focus. And there's plenty of tasks that you can do that don't take your full attention, There's plenty of
Yeah,
tasks.
no, you're right. So you're right. Absolutely.
But also, I'm into efficiencies. Like, for example, when I'm texting or whatever, arranging an appointment, as soon as I've agreed a time, I go Siri, book an appointment for Tuesday, 2:00 with Bob Thomas, and it's in, done. And then I'm like, right, back again. So I try and use technology whenever possible. I got all the apps from all of the social medias and everything on my phone. The reason I actually went into digital marketing and social media after being in sales for a long time, I was in the credit industry. So I was in the financial sector, but the fintech sector, if you like, the financial technology sector, And so I used to go into 10 million plus turnover companies, find out how they were doing things and come up with software and technology to improve it.
Okay.
My brain thinks in technical solution ways. And obviously in marketing, I do all of that type of, I use systems and technology to just allow you to do multiple plate spinning at the same time. Really, I try and use a smartphone. I use all of the, I'm somebody who, like most people will get a smartphone and they'll do 60, 70% of what it does.
Yeah.
I try and work out the 100% of what it does. And I'm the same with all social media as well. So like most people will know 70, 80% of Twitter, 70, 80% of LinkedIn, 70, 80% of, Instagram, whatever. I'm the one who's working out all the settings and all the different things you can do. And really, I get into it until I know it 100%. I want to know how everything works.
Well, I think that's the same as our brains. We're only using 10, 15% or whatever it might be in terms of percentage. We're not using the rest of it. So it's then, not capitalizing on this true potential.
Yeah, well, I believe in exercising every single muscle in your body, including the brain, the most important one. Yeah, the brain is way more.
Everything stems from there. So.
Yeah. So to me, I exercise my brain muscle way more than I do my 2 exercises a day body muscle. Yeah, I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly applying what I learn into practice so I can learn more. because that's where the real learning comes. So
Yeah.
I'm applied. I come from an education background, I suppose. I was a grade A student. You
Yeah.
know, I ended up with 2 A's, 6 B's, and 3 C's at GCSE, and
Yeah.
we moved around a couple of times. So I would have had much better grades than that if I'd had the stability. So my mum and dad got divorced, and a few things like that. So I moved quite a bit. But I had a grade A computer studies at GCSE, and my brother's 2 years older than me, and he didn't do computer studies. So literally, computer studies had just come in, and I had an
Yeah.
A. So I already had, I had a, I already done well. To me, I'm very logical, and computers are very logical, and so they save you a lot of time. And so rather than being frightened of them, like a lot of people older than me have always been, because they weren't surrounded by them, I had a computer at 11 when most people didn't have them. Because I had bad handwriting. So we had my mum and my nan got one off the Little Woods catalogue for like 1,100 quid, and they paid it off monthlies and stuff for me. And I've always been advanced with technology more so than all the people older than me, and obviously most of the people younger than me, because I was learning ahead of them. Obviously now people learn so quickly at youngsters, they're probably better than me, if you like, but I can hold my
Yeah.
own against
Yeah.
anyone in technology, really. And when I went to sales and I was a salesperson, and I was a sales manager, sales director, etc. Most salespeople aren't very technical. Most
Right.
salespeople, they're good
Yeah.
communicators, but they're not very technical. Because I was come from a good, decent education background, because a lot of people with good education backgrounds in sales go into like lawyers, or they go into corporate sales or
Yeah.
whatever, not the sort of like sales jobs that
Professional sales, if you
yeah,
call
the
it.
rest of the sales,
Yeah.
if you like, that everyone else fills at the people
Yeah.
who haven't got the high level sales
Yeah.
ability, they fill up the rest. But I had that high level sales ability. I could have got into any sector really if I wanted to. I believe everything is possible, and if I want to do something, if I apply myself to do it, I can do it, and I have that belief in myself. So so I had the ability to understand the technical solutions that we were selling as a company. So the company wouldn't send IT out with us when we were first. So we would struggle early on, but I would ask lots of questions, go out to 10 million plus turnover companies. They'd fire a load of technical questions to me. I'd take them back to IT, get all the answers, and remember all those answers. So the next time I go and see the corporate companies, I basically, the solutions would build in my head. The more and more solutions you got, the more and more the solutions built in your head, the more you could, when people were giving you problems, the more you could sort of envisage all the different things that you've done for other people and work out how you can put them together to be a very complex solution to a 150-year-old company who's been doing things, their way for a while, usually Frankenstein systems that have been patched on and patched on and patched on and patched on. And you just go in and see actually all that patched on doesn't work as well. If they ripped it all out and just put this in, this would be much better for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, there's another synergy there, and I'll tell you what that is. I was an engineer for the first 10 years of my working life.
Yeah.
And I did a bit of teaching at the end of that part of it as well. But you mentioned the word logic earlier, and I think I've been the same in as much as that. I've got a very logical mind. I like to know how things work.
Yeah.
And how that's benefited me in terms of my financial services career is that I'm able to take complex, if you like, financial products and how to break that down into easy and a simplified way of explaining that to clients so that they understand.
Yeah, so we'd be doing exactly the same jobs, but you'd be doing it in finance and I'd be doing it in technical solutions and sales and marketing.
Yeah.
Which is why we're on
These synergies, Mike, are uncanny. Very uncanny.
And it's very rare to meet people like us, like you're saying, because usually in sales people who've got the communication skills that I got haven't got the logic and the engineering brain. And the people who've got the logic and the engineering brain haven't got the communication and the awareness and the empathy brain. So
empathy is a huge factor.
Yeah, it's a very unique mix of people I know, because I met a lot of people, and there's not many people that are like me. So the synergies that we have is very similar to the synergy I got with Mark Jarrett, who's the virtual power networker. Like me and him we met each other about 3-4 weeks ago. We've been speaking once a week, every week for 4 weeks now, probably. And magic happens every time we speak, because there's two people who do things similar ways and have the same ideas and stuff, and we're operating different places. Just if you like, getting the power of 2 plus X, yeah, by combining together.
But it's that enthusiasm and that energy, isn't it? That is, it's like, fire sort of lighters. You're sparking off each other, and you just sort of creating other ideas. So it's great.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so I got a feeling like, maybe me and you might be doing that from now on as well, and really sort of helping each other explode in different ways. Because
Yeah.
see, you can say a strategy to me that you're thinking of doing, and I'll understand it. Whereas, like, a lot of people that I meet, most of the people I meet, 9 out of 10, the 90%, because I'm a 10%er working to be a 1%er, in brain and strategy and all the rest of that. The 90% of people, the same 90% of people who fail in their first 5 years in business, a lot of the time, they just don't get me. They don't get my strategies, and they don't understand what I'm trying to do for them. And they're too short-term thinkers. They're thinking too small. So I'm working on a much bigger strategy for them, and they can't get it.
Yeah, no, I think for me, in terms of relating that, it's about those steps. I think, again, in terms of financial planning terminology, for like, it's about showing, or trying to anyway, show the journey that they're on and where they're going to get to, but they need to take these steps to be able to get there.
Yeah, but they've got to have something.
They have to have something inside them. I want to get there, and they need, and they've got to put the effort in and the time in to do those steps.
Yeah, they got to have the drive or the vision or the willingness to learn or something. They got to have something to work with. The people who've got something to work with, what I do with them is I drip feed education. I've got to get them to a level where they understand the solutions I'm going to offer them. So I'm just going to provide them with information for a while, and then they come back to me usually after a while where they've worked it out in their brain. They worked out all the little bits of the little crumbs I've given them. All of a sudden, they worked out how to form a cookie.
Yeah, it's again again the sort of similarities in terms of my industry is definitely there, because for me, the easiest people for me to work with is people who are experienced investors, if you like. So you're talking the same language. The ones who are, I would say, more difficult, but can't see the same vision as you've explained, then obviously you need to spend a lot more time on the starting point, the basics, if you like, for them to be able to see that, and then you gradually build that up over a period of time. It's about that education. Part of, obviously, financial planning, from my perspective, is to educate people in terms of get them to a level where they can make the decisions themselves, or at the very least, they understand why we are making those choices, making those decisions for their benefit.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's a lot of synergy there anyway, but I'm conscious it's moving on in time and it's a Friday evening.
It's almost Sunday.
Yes, good job. We did have, our original appointment was 6, so when we moved it to 5, because we both had a bit of a gap in the window, if you like, it meant that we could carry on into the time, and it was only the time we were supposed to be anyway,
Yeah, it's been great, Mike. I've enjoyed it. So
yeah, it's been actually, I think it's been my longest dual podcast episode. So that's how much synergy we got and how much we had to talk about. Because again, I probably didn't even ask most of the questions I usually ask. Lockdown, and then just went where they went, And
yeah, but this is where these are good, because this is not forced. This is a natural conversation between the two of us. Yeah. And obviously you were saying something or I'm saying something, and as you would in a natural, face-to-face conversation, it's sparking questions or thoughts from the other person.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I don't like to plan too much for my pod, because I like them to just be organic conversations and that. It's just some people who haven't got so much synergy in common, or they don't like to talk so much. You would ask them questions and their answers will be shorter. So then you've got to, split the question, ask another question and another question in that same direction to get a bit more and a bit more out. Yeah. And then some people just ask the one open question, and then you've got to sort of try and butt in after 25 minutes when they're still not stopping,
I think I have an advantage, because you have to remember my job, if you like, is to ask people questions
Yeah.
and find out obviously a lot more information about them. So it's probably a bit easier for me to be able to have this two-way conversation. But yeah, for others, this doesn't come natural, so it's it will
Exactly.
be difficult.
We both been in sales for a long time, so it's all about open-ended questions and asking
Yeah,
the right questions and the question again to
yeah,
go down the line to find out the information you need
yeah,
to find out.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm taking to podcasting like a duck to water because it's interviewing people really, although I call them chats. It is sort of interviewing people. It's guiding people towards getting some information out of them that you think is relevant or maybe beneficial to the audience. And we're both expert questioners, because to be a solutions provider in whatever sector you're in, you've got to be able to ask questions and guide people down the paths you need them to go down to give you the
yeah.
information you need to get in order to build the solution you need to build.
Are you monetizing your podcast at this stage, or is that for a later one?
I've started monetizing it a little bit, yeah, because with Anchor you can do sponsored ads. So
Yeah.
I've done some sponsored ads, and then also I've done some ads for like my businesses, and I'm going to do some ads. I've done some for some partner businesses and stuff.
Oh, that's a good idea. I never thought of that. So
Yeah. So I've done like Intrabiz, a Wales' biggest business network. They're good
yeah,
friends
yeah,
of
yeah.
mine, and obviously
Where they have some wonderful speakers, as
yes,
you
they have great
mentioned.
speakers, which I love all their speakers. And obviously, the more people join that network, the more people I can network with and benefit from. So I always market them, anyway. So like I do a networking grapevine feature, which is like what's coming up on the networking circuit, etc. So I do that sponsored by Intrabiz, and visit www.intrabiz.co.uk if you want to find out more about them. And then I've got a Marketing Wales website, so that's the sponsor of my King of Marketing feature. And
Yeah,
then I do Morning Motivation is sponsored by my Mike Armstrong coaching. Yeah, so I do different features, and obviously the sponsored link is actually for Anchor. It's actually you can promote Anchor as a place for other people to download and podcast, and they pay you for every time that advert gets played. But I say they pay you at the moment. They give me a score so I can see how much I'm building up. But you can only bank out or cash out if you've got an American bank account. So they're a global business, and it should be rolling global at some point. So at the moment, I'm just building up money for the future. Yeah,
yeah.
or at
Okay.
some point, I'll have to get an American bank account to cash out because they
I,
ask
I,
for
I didn't know that. So
like something like a bit like the EMEA number or whatever, but it's something
yeah,
Americans have. It's a bit like the SIC code, but it's like they ask for a number which you haven't got with your bank account. So unless you get an American bank account, you can't put it in through the online form. But I'm just
yeah,
going to build up anyway. And then the other strategy I've got, so I'm going to do some merch at some point as well. I'm going to do some merchandise, like t-shirts and
yeah,
caps and mugs. With your case, you may not want to do that. With the financial, you might want to do things like like calendar or financial planners or books, stuff like that. Maybe make me more financial orientated. But the other thing which I'm going to do, see my background, which is You Can Do It, the name of my
yeah,
podcast.
yeah.
I'm going to create a branding board and put
Oh,
that.
so you have lots of brands on the back of you.
Yeah. So actually, a bit like a Premier Football interview
Yeah,
or whatever,
yeah,
So I'm going to do a bit of that. And obviously, the whole idea with a lot of the stuff I market on anyway is to build up an audience so I can actually market the clients that I work for or work with. Yeah. Because obviously,
very
a
good.
lot of the time I build up other people's social medias and that sort of thing. And when I build it up their own, I can actually promote them to my audience that I've been building up for a long
Yeah,
time.
but the thing is, with that, obviously, then the people are going to be seeing that, and they will want to go on those boards.
Yeah.
So you might have to revolve them, obviously, on your different podcasts or your YouTube channels, rather. But you're going to get advertising revenue as a result of that. So that's a really good idea. So
Yeah. So I'm always, thinking of different ways of monetizing. There's also a place out there called Pantheon,
yeah,
Pantheon,
I've heard of
which
that
I've
one. Yeah,
set up, and I'm looking into how it all works at the moment. But the premise is that you put unique content on it, and you charge a fee, a monthly fee. Yeah. So
is that Pantheon? Or is that Patreon?
Patreon, I think that might be
Patreon, it is. Yeah,
actually.
Patreon.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it might be Patreon.
yeah,
Yeah. I
Patreon,
set
it
it
is.
all up one weekend, and I haven't had time to have a look at it yet. So
Yeah.
I got the premise of it and stuff, but and I know a few other people who got it and that, and I'm just looking at that. But at some point, like I might put my training academy, if you like, within that, if you like, so people can just pay me a subscription, and I'm doing all that sort of stuff at the moment. I've also come up with two formulas which I want to write books on and talk on and come up with seminars on, etc. And that is a 5-step happiness formula, which is called the Smart Happiness Formula. And it's sleep, meditation, ability to perform, which covers exercise, nutrition, and hydration, random acts of kindness, and targets, target
Okay, good.
achievement,
Yeah.
target setting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, it's scientifically proven to make you happier if you do those things on a daily basis. Yeah. So I've got a formula like how long you should do on them and all that sort of thing. But that's sort of like a life coaching formula, really, on how to become more happier. And then when I come up with that 5-step formula, I realized that success is a big part of my happiness. And so I come up with a 7-step success formula. Yeah. So the 7-step success formula is systems, technology, relationships, efficiency, action, marketing, and sales.
Yeah.
If you do those 7 things, whoever you are, if you can grow those 7 areas of your life, you'll always be more successful.
Yeah. No, yeah, absolutely. I think, I mentioned a financial roadmap earlier, but you have to have, you can't get anywhere without the map. It's no different than getting in your car. Where are we going to go today? Don't know. Well, you're not going to get there, yeah. So you need to know where your destination is.
Yeah.
Before you even set off. And whether it's in business, whether it's in life, or whatever it is, you need to know where you're going before you can get anywhere, whatever sort of aspect or direction you want to take.
Yeah, definitely. And to me, the most important thing is mindset.
Yeah, no,
Because if you haven't
absolutely.
got the right mindset, you can't achieve anything. So there's no point learning anything in life until you work on your mindset. Because
Yeah,
whatever you learn, whatever the steps are, whatever the process is, you've got to have, 1, the willingness to learn and listen, 2, the willingness to then apply it, and 3, the willingness to stick to it no matter what steps in your way, to overcome it and not get knocked off it and to get back to it. So ultimately, those are the things that you need to learn first before you go on and learn anything.
I think sometimes people are afraid to try things because obviously of fear of failure, setbacks, whatever. But it's the only way that you're ever going to get anywhere in life. Is nobody hands you anything on the plate these days. So you've got to take the knocks, have the cuts and bruises, get back up, and get on with the next one,
Yeah,
and keep going and going, and eventually you are going to stumble on something that, which is what you've certainly done doing this, is
yeah,
something that it feels right. It gives you, a reason to get up in the morning. You can't wait to get up in the mornings to start doing your next podcast or your next video.
that's right.
So,
Yeah, that's right. And
unless you failed, you're not going to get to those things.
yeah, and I'm somebody.
Nobody succeeds first time round.
No, at all. Sometimes Alexander Graham Bell didn't fail 10,000 times, which a lot of people say he did before he learned how to do it. He learned 10,000 ways not to do it, so he could do it the 10,001st way.
Yeah, absolutely. So
The language needs to change from crisis to
yeah,
opportunity, from
yeah,
failures to lessons, and
yeah,
actually people actually just understand that all they are, every single obstacle, hurdle, problem, issue, they're all just lessons that teach you how to become a stronger, better person. And the
yeah,
more you
yeah,
can apply that, so I always say there's no such thing as failure, just a lesson, except if you do the same mistake twice because you didn't learn the lesson. Yeah. So then you failed to learn. Yeah.
yeah,
You failed to take
yeah. I'm a firm believer in that. It's I've had issues in my life where they've been real hurdles, and they would probably have, should we say, crumbled other people.
Well, there's another
But
solution.
you just get on with it.
There's another
Just get on.
solution, like, you know what I mean? I was always on a trajectory like that, going fine my entire life until the global credit crunch. And then I got caught up in I got caught up, basically, my mortgage was due for renewal 2 years because we just moved into the house 2 years before the recession, 2008.
Yeah.
And we thought, listening to rumours and stuff from the 80s, that the interest rates could go up to like 12, 14%.
Yeah.
So we signed up on a 6.25% mortgage for 5 years.
Right.
And then they went down, and then they went down and down. And so the cost of living went up. Everyone else is having the quantitative easing, but we didn't for 5 years. Ultimately, the end product of that was a lot of financial problems and heartache over a 5 year period, which culminated in a divorce. Yeah. And so everything in my life went perfect until that time. And then I had a really bad time for a few years. And so I had to get back and overcome from that problem and that situation. So again, it sounds like that's not that bad in comparison to a lot of people. But for me, it was devastating. You know,
But again, it all depends on you. It's all related to you as an individual. It is that, everybody's got different problems,
yeah.
but these problems are huge to you or that person at that time, and it affects every aspect of your life.
Yeah, and that's the other reason why I started my podcast, Leslie, is because I knew there was these problems coming. I was a victim in the last global credit crunch, and what I wanted to do is try and help as many people as I can avoid being a victim in this credit crunch or pandemic, whatever. You know, same thing, different T-shirt. This one's a bit worse. Like, this is a bit bigger. But so that's what. So I've learned a lot of stuff from what happened to me in the global credit crunch 2008. And that's why my book is actually aimed at helping people through that situation by explaining what happened to me and how I managed to get myself over it.
Yeah, but again, you wouldn't have been able to do that if you didn't have those lessons earlier on in life. So
that's why that's why I've looked at them as lessons, and I go, okay, well, a lot of bad stuff happened to me, but I probably wouldn't be able to be as good a me as I am right now without those things. So sometimes the best lessons in life are the hardest learned ones.
it is. I'll tell you another one. I don't know if you've done this in your book, but each of my chapters in my book ends with a lesson learned.
Yeah, well, actually, so I've written my story, and then I've done a load of self-help at the end of it with what
Right,
I learned through the different bits. So very similar, slight different variants on it.
I just find this really weird and uncanny, but in a nice way.
Yeah, well, it's great. Like I say, the universe at the moment for me is finding lots of, not necessarily. This has been probably the most synergistic meeting that I've
Isn't that
probably
such a
ever.
word? I'm glad you said it.
A word, we make it up. It sounds good, but no. But I've been meeting lots of other fellow podcasters and entrepreneurs and power networkers and stuff. I'm putting myself, and you are too. And so we're putting ourselves out there. We found our voice. We found our purpose. We're actually applying it in a global way now by podcasting and YouTubing and all of those things. So actually, what we're doing now is what's called attraction marketing, rather than cold calling or proactive marketing. Yeah. We're putting ourselves out there, and the people who should be finding us are finding us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why we found each other,
Yeah, but you have to to some extent, I don't think this is the right word, but you have to be brave and expose your personality yourself to the world, if you like. Not everybody is comfortable in doing that.
No, most people
it does take a certain individual to do that, but I think that comes with confidence. It comes with probably maturity and all those things. But once it clicks, it's all guns going.
It's like a fire then. A mate of mine's got a podcast called Fire in the Belly. And basically,
I know, I've seen that one,
Yeah, you've seen that one. He's a lovely guy, Pete is. He was on my podcast last night, I think. So I do 2 late night ones now in a row, because usually I do them between 9 and 6 most of the time, and this one's coming up to 7. We didn't start his one till 8:45 last night, so that one was done about 10:30. But I love it. I love podcasting. So if somebody literally sent me in fact, I got another one at 8:00 tonight. I just remembered somebody sent me a message. Someone sent me a message earlier today, and about 5:00, and we was like, "Oh, when can we do it?" And I said to him, "Well, tonight, the weekend, or next week. When? Like, I don't care, whenever, And he said, "Actually, tonight will be good." So I got another one at 8:00. So I to me, I'll do a podcast I'd probably get up. I don't like getting up in the morning, but I'd probably get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to do a podcast for someone in Australia if they wanted to.
Yeah. Well, this is a perfect way of socializing because, again, the best part about my role as a financial advisor is actually I am socializing with people I want to spend time with.
Yeah,
You know, when you're a financial advisor, it's a privileged position to be in because you, if you like, get to know people really well. You know the sort of troubles and the life and the challenges they have, but also you share with the sort of the good times as well. So it's I couldn't have chosen a better profession for me because it's stretching me from an intellect point of view, because obviously the nature of what we do.
yeah,
But also it's allowed me to meet some wonderful people over the years. And now it's also taken me in a different direction because I've got all this experience, the same similar to you. And now why it's taken me this long, I don't know. But it's like everything else. You got head down, you're sort of 100 miles an hour. But I know that, what I'm able to do, I don't need to restrict that just to, one-on-one clients. It can be to a much bigger audience because everybody has similar issues, similar problems,
yeah.
aspirations, and obviously I can help them do that. So it's I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the next
Why it
step.
took you a bit longer is because you were in a sector that wasn't so quick to all of this. That's why it took you longer, because I'm in a sales and marketing sector. I'm only
Yeah,
40. You're a bit older than me, I think, Tony.
yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Just a few years, but a bit
Just
older
a
than
few,
me.
yeah,
But what I would say is that you would have probably got there quicker if the people around you were doing this more. Whereas I've been exposed to all this stuff, and in fact, I go to London to learn a lot of stuff because I can bring it to Wales and live on it for 10 years. Because London's a power city, and it takes a while for other stuff to go out. So, because I
yeah,
used to be a national sales director and in a fintech company and stuff, I used to have to go to London all the time. I've done a lot of big shows, things like TFMA, the Technology for Marketing and Advertising,
yeah. Okay,
and the Business Show, and all that sort of stuff. So I can, London being a power city is one of the top 10 cities in the world. I'm learning stuff at the level of one of the top 10 cities, because I believe, you should be the best at what you do. And so I want to learn, I want to learn what London's doing, not what Cardiff's doing. Bring
yeah,
it back to Cardiff, live on it for 10 years, and then market it to the rest of Wales for another 5 years or 10
yeah,
years, you
yeah.
know?
Yeah, but
So
you're actually doing, you're doing Cardiff and Wales service by bringing that knowledge and information back, which they perhaps wouldn't have
yeah,
if you were not doing it.
definitely. I think obviously as Cardiff now is starting to become a digital hub, it is starting to. But I've been doing that for quite a long time anyway, and I'm somebody who believes, well, because I'm a sales and marketing consultant and advisor and stuff. I'm somebody who believes in. I need to know the latest things. I need to know the latest technologies. I need to
Yeah,
know, what I mean. I got to be on the coal face, like, what I mean. Learn
yeah,
it, and
yeah,
I learn everything, and I apply it myself, and then once I know it works, I sell it to other people. So that's the process. I would never learn something and then sell it to someone else.
yeah,
I'm going to
yeah.
apply it. I'm the guinea pig for everything that I learn.
That's not a bad thing. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I need to know that it works first. Like, so to me, there's so many people who regurgitate information they've learned elsewhere, and that's not training or that's not knowledge.
yeah,
That's just hypothesis. Yeah,
yeah,
until you actually put it into action, that's where your real learning comes, and that's where the real knowledge comes, and that's where you
yeah.
know whether something works or not. Because before that, it's just a theory.
Yeah, there's lots of people out there that are spouting the theory, but not actually practitioners themselves.
No, no,
That's in
exactly.
all walks of life. So
Yeah, yeah, I think you've got to be, you've got to have been there, done it, and got the
yeah,
T-shirt. And the people who
yeah,
people learn from should learn from those people.
yeah,
I don't mind people having a go at trying to make themselves well known for sharing information they don't know nothing about, but I prefer that they didn't. Good on them for having a go, but I think they should apply some of the stuff, and then once they know it works, then turn around and say, well, listen, I'm teaching you this because I've done it myself. That's
yeah.
the people I learn off. Are people I know are the best, in the world at not just teaching it but applying it.
Well, we all need coaches or mentors, as I would prefer
Yeah,
to call them or use, because there's nothing better than learning from somebody who's actually been there, done it, wear the t-shirt, got the bruises, got the scars, and that's where I would give somebody my time, if you like, because that is going to come from the right place, and the information that you're going to get is going to be the right information and the right guidance that you need if you want to go to the next level or direction or whatever it might be. So
yeah, brilliant. All right, then I'm going to leave it here now because
because you need a rest in between now.
I've got to go for a ride on my bike and have some tea. So I got 45 minutes on the bike and I got about 20 minutes for tea before the 8 o'clock.
It's got to be a walk tea then, isn't it?
I walked dinner, so I've just got to warm it up. So that's all right.
Oh, okay.
But, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it has. I really enjoyed it. So
yeah, brilliant. And I'll let you know. I'll send you the links when it goes on the podcast and on the YouTube channel, and we'll keep in touch on socials and stuff. I'll send you the link to join the LinkedIn pod, and we'll just just keep in touch.
All right. Well, if I can share this, would be great. But also, we'll offline, we'll connect to do this the other way around.
Brilliant. All right. I look forward to that as well. Okay.
All right. Cheers, Mike. Have a good night. Enjoy your next chat.
Yes. Good night. Good night.
Bye.
All right. There's nothing else left for me to say now other than have a great day. I know I will. And thanks very much for listening. Cheers. Bye-bye.